Good evening, YouTube world, and welcome to the Arm Wrestling Buzz episode 8, guys. I want to welcome everybody back. We got Pradeep from Arm Wrestling News. Welcome back, brother. We got Tom, the arm wrestler. We were missing both of you guys last week. And we got Josh from Grip and Rip. He will be coming on in the next 20, 30 minutes. But we have a very special guest tonight, guys, that I want to introduce. His name is Adam Wawrzynski. Welcome, Adam. How are you tonight, brother?
Thanks, brother. Doing good, feeling well. Glad to be back in the States and on my feet.
Hell yeah, bro. So I want to first start off with, for all the guys that might not be keeping up with the arm wrestling community and all, I want to get your stats, bro. I want to find out how many years you've been pulling, where you're from, and your age.
So I've been pulling for a little over 8 years now. I'm 26 years old. I started when I was 18. I am from Newcastle, Pennsylvania, but I currently live in Charleston, South Carolina. And what was the last question you asked? There was one more.
You said it, your age.
Oh, gotcha. All right. Yep. So
I didn't realize you were that young, 26. Damn.
I don't feel 26. Sometimes I feel 10, 20 years older. Everything hurts, and whatnot. But yeah, I got a while to go.
So Adam, tell us about, how did you find arm wrestling?
Through Game of Arms, actually. I was 18. I was a big football guy. Season was over. It was would have been December-ish of 2014. And I was watching TV with my dad, saw arm wrestling on AMC, Game of Arms, and that's what kind of led me to the WAL. They were doing that big tournament series style event at the time, and I kind of that's how I got into it. Went through WAL, went to Vegas, saw how huge it was, and I was hooked.
For all you new guys out there, Game of Arms, you might not know, is a reality show, and it followed a bunch of arm wrestling teams around the nation. I highly suggest this. If you haven't seen it already, definitely go check out the series. You're going to love it. And I got to ask you, Adam, from Game of Arms, who was your favorite competitor in that?
I really loved Alan Fisher. He was I could really get behind that guy. And I've always been a big fan of his, but of course there were other guys too, but he was like my first original favorite arm wrestler for sure.
Yeah, Alan's a legend in our sport. Love Alan. He's been, winning for 40, 50 years. Unbelievable. So many world championships. Really great guy as well.
Yeah.
So, Adam, I want to kind of find out about, how did you get all involved in East versus West? We know that you had two big matches that you were at. The first one being against Bozadar, which I think you kind of just shocked the world with that performance. Was just unreal. Bozadar being one of the top 85-kilogram world champions out there. And you kind of just dominated him that day. And I think a lot of people got to know your name that day, but you want to kind of just back us up and let us know, how did you get into East versus West and all?
Yeah, I think I'm definitely one of those guys that have slowly climbed the ladder. When I started arm wrestling, I was just getting into college, and I went to a military school where I played football. So arm wrestling wasn't really my first priority. It couldn't be. So I slowly got into it. And after college, I was just hungry to get better. I wasn't ever chasing to be like a number one guy in the world or the States or wherever. I just went to as many tournaments as I could. I was, offered some small super matches, which kind of led to some bigger super matches and bigger super matches. And Justin Bishop, when I beat him, that was sort of a private match. I'm sure he doesn't mind if I talk about it now. That was what got me into the top 10 rankings in North America. And then I slowly started to climb those. And I think the match that I had with Brent Rockers at Arizona Arm Sports, roughly about a little over a year ago, is kind of what really got me into that level, into that conversation. And then I had a match with Paul Talbot later that year, and did pretty well against him, beat him 3-0. And after that, I just got a message from Engen saying, we you want a match? And I was like, yeah, so that's kind of what got me into East versus West. And obviously, the performance with Bozadar got me invited back. I'm not really proud of the way that I arm wrestled 2 weeks ago. But it happens, and can only learn from it and make you better. So hopefully I'll be able to be invited back. We'll see.
So you get hit up from Engin Terzi and invited to the East versus West. What's your reaction? What are you feeling at that moment?
Oh my gosh. Is this real? It's almost that surreal feeling. Because it's so humbling, because there's so many guys that deserve a chance. And Engin knows this, and he's always trying to find those guys, that deserve a chance, because Engin just truly loves the sport and wants to see it grow. He's not one of those guys that's just out there to make money or gain fame or popularity. He truly wants to see the sport grow. So when I get that message, it's truly humbling, because I'm thinking already in the back of my mind that 10 other guys, 20 other guys in the US around my weight, that if we pulled today would be a war. So I'm the guy that got that chance. So it's just humbling, and it made me want to train hard and represent everybody.
So what was the first East versus West? What number was it? Was it number 5 that you first competed at?
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah.
how long of notice did you have to prepare for that?
I had I think it was 12 weeks. I had 12 weeks, and I used every bit of 12 weeks. I had every workout, every training session, every practice mapped out. I was going to be at peak performance come, what was that, November? I don't know. I should know the date, but I already forget. 21st. That's right. Yep. And I went into top shape. So
now, did you do anything different than normal for this training, just because it's was such a high level? So did you feel you had to up any of your training at all?
Yeah, I definitely. I'm pretty well rooted in the training system that I have. So I didn't switch and do a complete 180, but I definitely threw some things in there to help me specifically for that match. I knew Bozadar had a crazy center of the table strength, hooking power. So I really trained a lot of center table stuff, isometrics. I have literally a piece of 4x4 screwed into my table, angled out to be at the center of the table. And I literally just twisted and pushed on it for sets of 20 to 30 seconds. And then I put my hand on the other side and go that way. So I was really building joint stability doing that. I was training on the Sabine hand. I didn't buy it for that match, but I had already had it. So I was doing 3 sessions a week on the spring hand, or maybe it was 2 and 2 on the isometric hand. So I was incorporating a lot of that stuff, which I feel definitely helped me for that match for sure.
And how much table time were you hitting?
Always once a week, hard on Sundays. That is a staple. It's by far the most important training session I'll have all week.
Now, do you have any mentors or coaching?
Yes, I train with Carolina Chaos, led by Chad Silvers. I've been with those guys for almost 4 years now, and they are my backbone. Those guys have invested so much time and effort into me, Chad especially. I would not be anywhere close to where I am today without them.
Wow. And okay, so now, week before the big event, what is that looking like for you? When did you shut down table time? When did you shut down gym training? Let us kind of know all the details.
Yeah, so table time for me always gets shut down that week before. I will train on the table. I'll essentially take one practice off. And that match, the East versus West 5 match, was different than any other match I had ever had before, because I was sort of forced to shut down early. because you travel Tuesday, right? And then you don't get there till Wednesday evening. And then like, what are you going to do? Try to work out Thursday? So I mean, typically where I would train very light all week and then maybe take Thursday and Friday off, I was forced to shut down Tuesday, which I actually found was much more beneficial to me. I mean, I came in, I felt very healed and rested. I may not have felt that. I mean, guys like I know all you guys here train. I mean, when you train in the gym, you almost like to feel yourself a little bit, and you feel, you kind of
like your muscles are full when you're training them. You have the volume in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Hypertrophy.
Yeah, of course. I mean, and I'm typically one of those meathead guys that likes to feel all that. But I was a little worried 2 days before the event because I almost felt a little flat, for lack of better terms. But came game day, I was rested. I was good. When I realized when I kind of put my ego aside and let my body heal up a little more, I was well more prepared. So yeah, I mean, my last training day was Monday and it was light. So I took Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then really Saturday because the match wasn't until 8:30.
What changed in your training when you were facing Bacho compared to the Bulgarian? As far as like, did you watch any videos on him, on his style? He has a big hand. Was there anything you were looking at to do in the setup?
I mean, with Bacho, no, it was all so unknown. There's nothing out there. I mean, there's a few videos of him pulling, I mean, from like 2-3 years ago, 4 years ago. I mean, he's 18. How am I supposed to take a video when he's 14 years old or 16 years old and compare that to when he's 18? I mean, it's like, I mean, you can get a little bit out of that as far as style. But it wasn't like there was anything spectacular. I mean, every match was him doing this and doing this.
So what was your game plan? Shoot into the hook, or what was your main, objective going up to that table?
I mean, my game plan was to just set up at a 45-degree angle, turn back straight, and throw my frame this way. Not really like super deep committed here and not so much way out here, but just to blast my frame all this way and kind of knock them off center, because I figured if anything else, my bone structure and frame is just much more developed than his, me being 26 and him being 18. But I mean, obviously y'all saw the result. I mean, it wasn't worth anything for him. So
what did you notice when you first gripped up with him? Was there anything that stuck out to you?
Yeah, I have never felt a hand that big or strong in my life, ever. I mean, it was like, and I have a pretty big hand, and the purchase that he had on the back of my hand, his fingers were very developed. I mean, every single joint, the palm and the width of the palm here was, I mean, it was like freakish. I never seen anything like that. And then, matter of fact, after the match, he and Levon had compared hand size, and they were like the same.
Crazy genetics, crazy.
I'm like, where does this come from? I mean, it was just, there was no top rolling him. There was obviously no hooking him either. The only regret I have is looking back, I'm like, why didn't I set my elbow a little bit back and really just dig hard? That's the only thing that I regret. But to be honest with you guys, it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, it wouldn't have changed the outcome. The reason why I didn't do that is obviously the intimidation I felt in round one.
Yeah. Did you change your plans? Because in last round, I think it was the third round, we saw you trying to go back for a top roll. It seemed like that.
Yeah, I mean, when I felt what I felt in round one, it mentally broke me a little bit, which I feel like made it look worse during rounds 2 and 3 than it really was, because I had never been mentally beat like that. I mean, I didn't know what to do. I'm thinking, well, we got to try to get out into his hand, maybe. I mean, I felt so much inside power round one, and round 2, it got there was no going out of that hand. In round 3, I think it was that first engagement. Like, I went to go out and he didn't move, and we reset.
Yeah.
And then I went to go out. I mean, and then I kind of got inside, and I never really truly got inside. I mean, we went out. I went to go back in, and he pinned me. I mean, it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just total domination. I mean, hats off to him. He came in and showed the world who he was. And my personal opinion, he got to be number one at 95 kg. I mean, where I would love to see somebody like Paul Lynn shut him down. I feel like that's the match that's coming next. I mean, it only makes sense to me that would be the match right now. That's not the title match at 85.
Paul Lynn, and then the winner faces Sasha again.
You would think so. I mean, I wouldn't even blame Engen for throwing Bacho right at Sasha. I wouldn't blame him. But I mean, I don't think this guy needs a stepping stone. I think
only 18 years old. He's already at that top world level. Is pretty elite right there.
It's absolutely insane. I think the match that makes sense is Paul Lynn. And I mean, Paul is an absolute warrior, and he definitely will be able to do a lot better than I did. And he may even shut him down. Who knows? But I think that's the match that makes sense, and probably what everybody's saying. I don't know what's out there. I haven't really been following on social media, so.
Let me ask you, Adam, I seen on your post, was it you were 14-0 on super matches before that day?
Yeah. Yep. I had to go back and see how many, but I'd never lost a right-handed super match ever in my life.
That is amazing, bro. And then just to put that into context and see that this 18-year-old came around and did what he did, that says a lot.
Yeah, I mean, it was a really hard pill to swallow, but after digesting everything and kind of having a week to look back and reflect, like I said in the post, I mean, losing that match did more for me than winning probably would have done. I mean, it's now forcing me to get outside of my comfort zone in areas that I never thought I would have explored. And, I'm thankful for it. I mean, everybody gets beat, you can't be invincible.
To be a little more specific, you said the areas you need to work on. Which ones are you referring to? Is it more the hand, since you said it was his hand, his finger pressure? Is it more hand you're going to work on, or what's the main focus, would you say?
Well, I want to be careful with my terms, because with Bacho, I was beat all around. I was beat in the hand. I was beat in power. I was beat in speed. I was beat in everything. So it's not like I can come out of that match and look at specific things I need to improve on. I just know that if that's a level of competition that I'm going to compete with someday, things have to change. I have to change. I have to adapt. I mean, yeah, I could sit there and say I need to be better, stronger, and faster in every single area, but that's not really like a practical goal to take into the day-to-day training process. It would be a way lot easier if we were matched inside and I just got beat in one area. Then maybe it would be a whole lot easier if that were the case. Unfortunately, it's not.
So just stronger everywhere.
This is one of those cases that forces me to just really, I mean, I haven't all figured it out yet. I have a good idea. I got on the ground running this week, and I feel like I'm in the right direction, but maybe the training process that I've been anchored in for the past, really 8 years, and then take it back another 6-8 years in football, maybe that's not working for me. Maybe I need new stimuli. It makes me think, and it makes me think big picture,
Adam, what do you walk around at weight wise? I'm sorry to cut you off, Pradeep.
No.
About 208, right? So right under 95,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe gaining a little bit weight and then cutting down, it can help you. Maybe 5-6%. Is it possible for you to get to like 215, 220?
So actually, that's what I was trying to do for Bacho. I was really trying to get as big as I could. I was eating an insane amount of food. I mean, you're talking probably upwards of 400 plus carbs a day, probably 5,000 calories, 300 grams of protein, easy. And the biggest I got was like a consistent 213. I've struggled with this all my life. Playing football, the coaches wanted me bigger, bigger. When I'm eating like a normal person, I'm sitting around 205. So actually, I'm even thinking about maybe cutting a little bit of. I mean, I'm a pretty muscular guy, but I feel like there is some shed weight that I could get rid of. I'm even thinking about making the water cut to 85 kg for something like East versus West, because I'm right there. I mean, you look at guys like Paul Lynn and Brandon, that's what they're doing. I mean, they're walking around bigger and they're doing that water cut to 209. I mean, I've kind of just been pulling where I'm at, no weight cut at all, eating like a king the night before and weighing in that day, no problem. So who knows? Maybe I count my macros. You know, I get down to about a 202 weight range and I make that cut to 85 and I can still compete at 95. But right now, I don't know if weight gain's in the picture because it's one of those goals that's like, unless I really do something drastic, my body just doesn't want to do it.
Yeah. Adam, what's next for you? Who do you, if you got to pick your next match at East versus West, who would it be? And then my second question would be, if you had to pick somebody in North America, who would your dream match in North America be?
Okay. Well, those are hard questions for me to answer. But at East versus West, I mean, it's hard. I feel like right now, let me preface it with, you know, right now, I personally don't feel like I'm in any spot to be calling out anybody or seeking any match at any promotion. That's just, you know, I don't know if undeserving for lack of better terms. I mean, I feel like I have some work to do, but a good match, I think at East versus West would maybe be myself and David at 85. Cause I know that he doesn't want to go up to 95 or even 90. I think that would be a really good match. Just talking from a fan perspective, we have similar opponents. We've both been kind of climbing. In North America, well, I mean, truthfully, my dream match is already set. We have a 12-man invitational round robin going on in October, and that invitational was for the top 12 guys in the rankings, and most of those guys are in there. I mean, you're missing Dan and you're missing Brandon. I think those guys already had obligations, or I know not everybody can, you know, make stuff like that. But
and you're talking about Dan Mosier, right, and Brandon Elsesser, correct? Yeah,
Mosier and Brandon Elsesser. They're not going to be able to make it, but it's myself.
And, what weight class is that, and where is that?
That is 198 pounds, and that is in Chattanooga, Tennessee. Or is it Oakland?
And what's the exact date on that?
The 21st of October.
And who's the organization throwing that?
That is Lorraine Jenkins. So Tennessee, Tennessee Armwrestling.
Can you give us a few of the guys that'll be competing in that 198 class?
Yeah. So it's myself and Chad Silver's coach is going to be in that as well. Craig Toulier, Dallas Langston, Eduardo Tiete, Jason Merlot, Robbie Russell, Bob Brown, Eli Bruhard. I know I'm missing some other guys, but the 12 guys are already set, and it's date is set. And when you talk about an opportunity to make a statement in North America, instead of having one match, you have a round robin with, I mean, a lot of top-ranked guys.
That's like the dream round robin right there. And what are you guys competing for? Is it for money? Is it just for ranking spots? What's the whole deal with that?
Well, kind of both. It's nice. So Lorraine's paying out. I think it's $1,700 to first place, maybe $1,000. He's paying all the way down to sixth place, so that's nice. And then also just to settle the rankings. I mean, I'll throw a shout out to Robbie Russell because he's been wanting to faced some of these top guys for a long time, and he feels like people are always running. And I mean, even I think, Paul, you were involved in that. The RVJ was going to throw that cock of the walk not too long ago. It was maybe a year or two ago.
No, that wasn't me.
Okay. Well, yeah, but I mean,
I did hear about that. That was supposed to be an amazing one.
Yeah. So I mean, there's been talk about like settling that 200-pound division for a long time, and I feel like it's always getting stirred up. So what better way to do it than to have a 12-man round robin? And hats off to Robbie for organizing that, taking the initiative.
Yeah, that's going to be a good one. I want to talk about that. I seen video not too long ago against you in a Robbie Russell match, and kind of went back and forth. It looked like that Robbie almost had the pin on you, and then all of a sudden you came back. What happened that day, and how did that all come about? Was that in a tournament? Was that a super match?
Yes, that was a tournament. It was a Tennessee tournament. I forget what it was called, but it was one of those tournaments that, our whole team went to. And obviously it was in my preparation for Bacho. So I didn't really treat it. Those kind of tournaments, I don't really treat like big events. I almost use them for training purposes. So I'll go to them. I won't take any time off, and I'll go to them, and I won't pull my weight class, but I'll pull all the weight classes above me. And I mean, Robbie, he kind of does that too. I mean, he'll pull multiple weight classes. So we saw each other in the 220s and the 240 weight divisions. And Robbie's somebody that I've battled with back and forth. I mean, just what I said not too long ago about how I got the call and there's like 20 other guys that are deserving. I mean, he's one of them. We have always, since we had a super match in 2020, we have been neck and neck. I mean, we're just one of those guys where styles collide and we dig it out. So that was just one of those other times. And I think we pulled 5 times that day. 5 times. I mean, between the 2 weight divisions and the prelims and the finals, we pulled 5 times. I know the video of him. I mean, if that wasn't a pin, then maybe a quarter inch more, and it was. I mean, that's the video that kind of got out there. The rest of them weren't that close. They were still close, but they weren't that close.
Okay, and you got the wins on those other ones, I'm presuming?
Yeah. But he also had a super match though before. He pulled Ryan Ballinger in a 5-round super match. So, or best of 5 rather. So
both guys definitely weren't fresh at all.
Yeah, no, we were. I mean, I don't think he struggled much in a super match. He pretty much he took Ryan's hand, and I don't think it put much wear on his arm, but yeah, we both had a few rounds before we met up with each other, and he a couple more than I. So yeah,
I want to change subjects a little. I want to bounce
I
around.
wanted to ask one question, Paul. So, Adam, you mentioned a possible match, not a possible match, but you would like to see that happening, you versus Samushia. So, have you practiced or had a match against Craig Toulier or Brendan Elsasser, because both of them went against Samushia in past few months?
No, those are 2 guys who I've never pulled. I mean, not that. Let me rephrase. I mean, I think me versus David Samushia would be a good match. I'm not necessarily saying that's somebody that I'm going after or calling. But no, I have never. I mean, Brandon and I roomed together 2 weeks ago, so we of course casually gripped up, but never really pulled, and I've never pulled Craig. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
And what did you
and one
guys?
more thing,
Sorry.
one last thing about this topic before we move on, Paul. You mentioned Paulin versus Bacho may be a good match. I was also thinking about these matches, maybe Paul, maybe Rob Vigent Jr. So in that case, we've always heard that if you get beat by someone, you always want that guy to destroy everyone, so that just you can feel good about yourself. So in this case, he'll be going up against your teammate Paul. So what would you secretly hope for then? Would you want to see Bacho just destroy Paul, so that nobody knows how good that guy is, or would you want Paul to win, or a close match?
Look, my ego. I don't have an ego. It goes out the door. I don't I know where I'm at. I know where I stand, and I know where I'm going. And if Paul and Bacho pulled, I am 130% behind Paul Lynn. I mean, he inspires me far more than anything, any of Bacho's future accomplishments could ever. So to see Paul Lynn take down the guy that I couldn't would be amazing.
And guys, if you're in the chat and you're feeling this content, please smash that thumbs up. And if you guys haven't already, please make sure you subscribe to my channel. So changing topics now, I want to just talk about some of the current events going on in the arm wrestling community this past week. First off, I want to start off with one of our guys, Tom, the arm wrestler over there. We heard you made a big move, and I want to kind of hear all about that.
Yeah, I moved to Texas. I'm in Austin now. I was living in Vegas for about 2 years. It was pretty fun. Definitely leveled up while I was there. But I figured Texas was a good spot to be, especially Austin, because I'm around San Antonio, Dallas, there's San Antonio, Houston, all around within like a 3-hour radius. So for me to go to a practice or tournaments, it's not going to be too difficult for me. I don't really have to take too many flights in the local area. So I'm trying to compete as much as possible.
So we could expect to see in a lot of competitions, a lot of you going to tournaments around
100%,
Texas.
100%.
And then the other thing I was thinking, isn't your boy Freddie Sanchez is up in that area? So
yeah, he's in El Paso. So if a promoter wants to put $1,500 on the winner of that match or pay me to show up, then I'll accept that match. Other than that, tournaments are my main focus. So that's my response to that situation.
Okay, so you need $1,500 cash prize to be on the table, or
for the winner, or paid $1,000 to show up, something like that.
Okay, so you guys all heard it, Freddie, and I know you had your guy that was looking to back you and all. You guys now know the terms that are set. If you're interested, definitely let us know. Hit us up in the chat if you're listening. So I wanted to bring up this big topic that's been going on this week, and
we lost your video, Paul.
Oh shit! Let me fix that. There we go. I'm back, guys. Yeah. So one of the big topics this week that went out there was Devin Lorette made a video talking about rules and reffing, and he wanted to make some changes to the rules and the table size and all. And just wanted to first hear, did everybody hear that video that Devin put out there?
I believe I briefly watched it. What was the main summary of it? He wants the pads extended, you said, or what was the main things he said in that?
Okay, so the main things that he wanted to do was on the elbow pads, he wanted to extend them a quarter, inch and a quarter to an inch and a half on each side to make the pads a lot bigger. He also wanted to lower the pin pad, where he doesn't want to use the pin pad anymore. He wants to use the line, but he wants to lower that. He wants that to be, I believe, at an inch and a half pin line. He also wanted to do a consent style system with lights. So when you get the grip and you're happy in the grip, you click the button that says you're in consent. When both competitors go do that, then we go. Now you can also press the button again if
you don't like the grip.
Yeah, if the setup didn't go
good. That's very interesting. That's never heard of anything like that proposed.
The other things that I want to just throw in there, and then we're going to go back and talk about each one of these, is he wants to get rid of the ref grip completely. He's saying that it's not working at all. There's too much movement in all the ref grips and all, and it's just leading to a lot of unfair arm wrestling. He wants to go with a 3-foul system. All slips go to straps and running fouls. So let's break this down, guys. Let's start off with Adam. First off, do you think we need to have rules and ref change to begin with? Do you think that we need to change the size of the table and all that?
Short answer, no. I think anybody who's sitting there and I mean, look, those are all great propositions. And I mean, Devin is more knowledgeable and has been around the sport than anybody. But at the end of the day, when you're requesting for something to be different, it's to benefit you.
I was going to say, especially the elbow pads, I was like, so that's more like a WAL pad. That's definitely going to be working towards his favor, in my opinion.
Well, it's not so much the WAL, because what WAL did was they just added the 2 inches on the back of the pad,
But not on the front. So he wants it on the front and the back and the sides, or
Yeah.
all the way around.
Okay.
He wants to add them. So he wants a significant bigger elbow pad. And also, what's your guys' thoughts on
you
that?
said the pin line shorter as well, correct?
Yeah, a lot shorter. I think we're around 2 inches right now is the standard. He wants it to be between 1.25 inches and 1.5 inches.
Okay.
So first, elbow pads. What's your thoughts on elbow pads, making them that much bigger?
I think it's going to help people with the dragging style, King's move style. Could potentially help someone like Jerry who's going forward as well. I think it just gives more room for like technical options because you're not cornered into a tiny little. It just makes more of a freedom style. So there's more technical options.
Yeah, I mean, when you sit there and you want to increase the elbow pad and you want to decrease the depth of the pin line, you're basically you're expanding the match. You're expanding the match. There's a lot more that can happen. And look, I mean, that even benefits someone like me. Do I think that we should go as far as doing that? I don't know. The bigger issue is if you try to implement something like that, well, who's going to follow it? There's 10,000 arm wrestling organizations. It's the whole reason why we can't figure it out like the UFC. You know what I mean? We need to, there's no one organization. So somebody adopts this, then somebody doesn't. Well, what happens when, a rankings match happens on this table? Does it apply to this rankings that actually went off of matches that were on this rule set? The bigger issue is we got to be more unified, and then we can sit there and talk about official rule changes, because right now there is technically no rule changes. Everybody has their own. I mean, they're pretty well everything's at a pretty is consensus, and everybody recognizes each other's rule sets. But if you look at every single organization, everything's a little bit different. It's a little bit different. It's generally the same table. It's generally the same reffing, but there are differences. And I think you got to get unified first. I like the idea personally. Sure. Make the elbow pads bigger and make that pin line lower. That's great. But, it's irrelevant right now.
Yeah. About the pin pads, I think Devon must have said it for himself personally, because it gets difficult to pin the King's move. We've seen that. I think Travis mentioned it once that WL pin pads are slightly lower than regular pin pads. So regular pin pads, 2-inch elbow pad, and on top of that 2 more inch of height. So the pin pad is about 4 inches height. And Travis said that WL pads are like somewhat like 3 inches in height total overall. So Devon wants to get it lowered, just like the Toddzilla versus Devon match, where Devon even on those lower pin pads got pinned. So for King's moves, it is really beneficial. For hook arm wrestling, I think that can also help. Top roll, maybe not so much. But we need to keep in mind one thing, that in tournaments when beginners are arm wrestling, we've seen how most of them break their arms. When they are in this position, they're about to finish, but they cannot get that last inch. So instead of cupping and pulling back, what they do is they try to push like this. And that's when they break their arm. Usually, like Aiden Ross's bodyguard, he broke his arm in the same position when people are trying to finish and they couldn't. They try to push desperately. That's where they break their arm. So I think lowering the pin pad in amateurs, it may result in more arm breaks. It will extend the matches for sure. The matches will be longer if the pin pad is lower. It's no doubt. And increasing the size of the pad, Devon said 1.5 inches. So what will it be? 8.5 by 8.5 inches. And Engin has already done that. He has increased 2 centimeters. So it's almost 8 by 8 inches. And increasing it further, I don't think so. Maybe 8 by 8 inches would be okay. And consent style start, where you push the button, I think that is not going to reduce the time it takes to start the matches. In my opinion, it is going to probably increase it.
Make it more complicated potentially too. It seems like could make it more complicated.
I mean, where's the button? Is the button on the peg or on the table or
table side? Yeah.
So what happens? Your hand is rested there and you accidentally put there's no, I mean, that's no, that it should be the way that the refs are in control of the match. Because if I'm in control of the match and you're in control of the match, well then, well, we don't agree. So how's the match in order? It has
Yeah.
to have a neutral party to set us and make it fair. I mean, that's the only way. I mean, the only way I.
Three running foul system plus three foul system, both of these, I don't think they can work simultaneously. You're already having three fouls in one round, and now you're also having running fouls on top of that. I generally don't like this rule. If you have running fouls, have two fouls, or just don't have running fouls. Because let's say if I have a small foul, it's a running foul, but I know that I have two more fouls. So what am I going to do is I'll lift my elbow like a crazy big elbow foul, and then just get the match restarted.
Yeah.
So where's the point of having a running foul if I can still get the match restarted without losing the round? I hope I'm making myself clear. A small foul, the match, I'm on the running foul, I feel like I'm going to lose. I'm going to lift my elbow like 3-4 inches, and then that's a big foul. They will have to restart the match, or I'm going to pin the opponent easily because I've gained that much advantage. And still the match is on because it's a three foul system like WL used to do. So three fouls and running fouls, I don't think they simultaneously make any sense to me. All slips go to strap. Yeah, that can be good. But one thing that I'm surprised Devon didn't want to bring from the old WL style, that can be the most beneficial, is the rounded squishy elbow pads. That's the only thing we need to do to reduce the fouls. Probably 30-40% of small elbow fouls are gone because of that elbow pad. And that is, I have not heard any elite arm wrestler or organizer talk about implementing those squishy round type of elbow pads instead of doing something crazy like give in saying in rules meeting that small fouls will not be called. Like, how do you write that? That has been my concern every single time. When you say that small fouls will not be called, you cannot write that down, and rules should be something that you can write down. Can you just imagine any organization officially writing their rules on their website that small fouls will not be called? I don't think it can happen, and nobody does that. Nobody does that in rules briefing. If you are going to say that we're not going to call small fouls, of course the athletes will gain a lot of confidence after that, and they will try to take advantage of that. So instead of saying that, have a squishy elbow pad where your elbow kind of sinks down, and then the fouls will be reduced. And if still there is a foul, then call it. I think that can be the best option.
Wasn't the squishy elbow pads though? Isn't that kind of with the rounded pads? Didn't that lead more to that King's move? That's really what made that work and kind of be a real problem. Was the angle that he gave the King's mover?
I don't think so. It has anything to do with the King's movers because that is not a foul. If you're in a King's move and your tricep is resting on the elbow pad, but your elbow isn't, let's say this is the elbow pad and your elbow is like that, but your tricep is on the pad, it's still not a foul. So I don't think the squishy elbow pad matters much in a King's move.
What's your guys' thoughts with a flat elbow pad or a squishy one? What would you guys think would be the better move?
I've heard them referring to that WAL pad as a pillow. And I think it could be more advantageous for a King's mover. Those are my main thoughts.
I like
Adam,
some between. I mean, if the WAL pad was kind of extreme, I feel like, but then again, the Mazarenko table pad is pretty stiff. So I like Pradeep's mindset with the no small elbow fouls will be called, but kind of give some give to the pad, and which kind of addresses that. So somewhere in between, I think a flat elbow pad, but maybe with a different type of foam to where it gives a little bit more, would probably be something worth exploring.
and then as far as writing the rules, how would it be like if you did like we're not going to be calling micro fouls that don't change the positioning? Is that just that doesn't work in the rule set? Like, what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think they just have to say it in a way to where it's nuanced, to where it's the referee's decision whether or not that minor foul was impactful to the match or whether it was not impactful. So it's up to the referee's discretion, I would assume, is how they would word it.
Yeah. Problem with that is it's just subjective. It allows for, and Sometimes it has. I mean, sometimes there's no other way. But if I like that idea, Tom, revert it to the referee. But then again, what makes the referee credible? I mean, they have to be, certified. And then it just,
That
yeah,
leads into
it's
another topic. Did you hear that Engen was saying that he's going to have a referee from North America in the future East versus West?
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
got Luke
Luke.
Polcher is going to be at the first one, and then that's going to be the minimum is one North American referee, possibly two at the ones. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Do you think this is going to work in favor of North Americans? It's not really going to make any change, or like, what's your guys' thoughts on that?
I don't think it's going to make that big of a change. I mean, they're all certified referees. I think a lot of the bias thing may be to appease fans, and that's why it may be something that he decided to do, which I think is logical. But I think the officiating is still going to be, credible referees.
Yeah, I think this is good because it just gives a broader range of refs. I mean, Luke Polcher is a very, very good referee. And I think his skill sets are valuable at somewhere like East versus West. Do I think it helps North Americans? No, because he's a good ref because he enforces the rules, not because he
Is a biased ref.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, then the question is North Americans been getting cheated by the referees? My answer to that is no.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think. And
Yeah,
everybody about what they want to cry about, but I mean, Devin's shoulder was just as bad as Gennadi's. I mean, goodness gracious, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I agree totally. I don't think the refs are being biased in any kind of way. I do think they made a couple of mistakes, but I don't think it was on purpose, and I don't think it was in a biased way. And I think it's really hard for referees, the position they're put in. I mean, these guys are also the top referees in the world. They come from WAF tournaments that are very, very strict, and now they're being asked to referee in a more lenient way. So this has got to be a learning curve to that as well. So
In fact, I think that Luke may be more stricter than the referees that are already around there. We've seen him in the Monster Factory. He's super strict. Like, he likes to call the rules as it is. I think every single referee knows the rules. Every single referee can see the fouls. It becomes a problem when the referee kind of surrenders to the pressure of the bigger athletes in the bigger matches, where they kind of they almost feel too scared to call the fouls. The ton of movement in the referee's grip, the referees were so powerless that they had to change the referee's grip. Now East versus West is the only organization where they still call it a referee's grip, but movement in a referee's grip is not a foul. It's just a warning. So my question is, why would you even call it a referee's grip? Just have it a normal way. It's not like they've completely changed the meaning. Only place where you can move in the referee's grip and it is not going to be a foul, only a warning. So that's the problem. And good thing is that Luke is strict. If they invited somebody who's not strict, really lenient on the rules, then it could have been a problem, because one match we're going to see absolutely strict reffing or somewhat strict reffing, and the other match we're going to see a difference in refereeing could have been there. But with Luke, I don't think it's going to be the case. So that's actually good, I think.
Pradeep, what's your thoughts on Devin's statement on getting rid of the referee grip completely and going to a set grip like WAL used to do?
If that reduces the amount of fouls, or mainly I would say if that reduces the amount of movement that athletes are doing before the go, because to me it's absolutely crazy. There are two things that I absolutely hate about arm wrestling rules, and first one of them is a false start is only a warning. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. Why wouldn't you utilize? Why isn't every single arm wrestler utilizing an elbow foul? If I'm going to arm wrestle under such rules, every single time I'm going to false start like a second, 2 seconds before the go, and try to figure out where I can go against this opponent. Everywhere you see, I know I'm comparing with different sports, but like 2011 IAAF Athletics Championships, Usain Bolt false starts, and bye, just come back 2 years later. You're out of the race. Same thing in many sports. A false start is a straight away disqualification, and in arm wrestling, it's not even a foul. Like, false start should 100% be a foul, not a warning. That's what I think. And movement in referee's grip, yeah, that should be a foul. If the set grip is able to prevent that somehow, then I'm okay with it. But since Devon is suggesting that, I somehow doubt that it is going to prevent the movement, because Devon like always likes to pull back a second or two before the go. So if that allows more movement to happen before the go, then it's a bad thing.
Yeah, my only qualm with that would be is if I believe it might be a little better for a taller opponent, being out of the ref's grip and doing a set grip. It gives them more time to move around in the setup and all. And so I think that could be kind of unfair. I think we just kind of got to be more strict with the ref's grip and keep the ref's grip. What's your thoughts
Yeah,
on
but
that?
the first 30 seconds is already there for that. You want to move, you want to test if you can take a grip or you're not. The first 30 seconds are already there. After that, it's a ref grip. I think WAF did a great job about 5-6 years ago. It used to be 60 seconds and then the referee orders referee's grip. So they also realized that 60 seconds is way too much. They changed it to 30 seconds now. So 30 seconds, you can try to take your grip, and if you cannot, the referee's grip, I don't see any problem with that. And moving, if you ask a 100-year-old lady who's probably never thought about any sports, if you ask her, there's this game, arm wrestling, should side pressure or back pressure be allowed before the referee says go? And she'll be like, no, that's stupid, that shouldn't be allowed. Like, that's just common sense. But in arm wrestling, you can pull back as much as you want before the go, you can go sideways as much as you want before the go, and that to me is absolutely ridiculous.
Adam, what's your thoughts? Would you rather set grip or ref grip?
I think referee's grip. I like how it is. You get 30 seconds, negotiated grip. I mean, some guys, there's all different styles of arm wrestling. Some guys like to grab lower, some guys like to grab higher, like to be more out into the hand, grab more real estate. And there's plenty of ways that you can do that and still be fair. And that's what makes arm wrestling so beautiful. Is there's so many different ways to do it. So let the guys negotiate a grip, and if they can't do that after 30 seconds, then referee's grip. And like you said, Preet, referee's grip. Don't move. They set you. But again, just the pressure from some of the big athletes and the big stage has made that referee's grip turn into something else sometimes. And that's a shame. But I think we just need to get back to a strict referee's grip.
I think bringing Luke into this, I think that will be enforced, just like you guys said, Luke's a little more strict, and I don't think he's going to get intimidated.
That kind of reminds me of the rolling start. Some people used to say that, well, when we used to run or sprint, they were like, well, my acceleration is not that good, let's do a rolling start and then a 60-meter sprint. And in a rolling start, they would do awesome because their start isn't that great. But that start, guess what, it's a part of the game. It's as important as your top speed or
The
top
set
power.
grip is essentially the rolling start of arm wrestling.
Yeah, that's a rolling start where you apply that's exactly what is happening in every league. King of the Table, East versus West, they're doing rolling starts. They're not like ready go starts, strict where you have to burst immediately. Rolling starts, that's what is happening right now.
Mm-hmm.
So changing topic, guys, I want to move on. There's been some great training videos going out there. And one of them that I want to put light on is Jerry Caderet has now been putting out training videos towards Hermes. We know before this, Hermes was kind of getting worried. He's like, is Jerry still alive? Haven't seen him posting anything, and what we were saying was we wanted to let East vs. West 7 get its spotlight. And then as soon as that was over, we were going to start getting more active with content. And he came out putting out some crazy videos. Did you guys get to check out the bicep curls that he was doing on the table with 120
like 120
pound
for
weight?
30 reps?
With 30, that was a warm-up, he was saying. And
then 2 plates for like 44 on bench press as well. Just bench press cardio.
Yeah. So what was your thoughts on that?
Strong dude.
Now, do you think that Hermes has something to be worried about from the?
I think it'll be a war. I think it'll be a close match. I don't see one person running through the other like easily. So I think it'll be a great match.
Adam, what's your thoughts on these workouts Jerry's putting out and showing this crazy genetic freak strength he's got?
Be honest, I haven't seen him, but I mean, I'm not really much of a social media guy, but I could tell you, I know from firsthand experience, Jerry's strength. I got the privilege to practice with him one time when he was here in Charleston, and I've seen videos of him train before. And I mean, what you just mentioned is amazing, but it doesn't surprise me. I mean, Jerry's just one of those guys that I think I saw a video of him doing 315 for like an insane amount of reps on bench press.
Yeah, I think he does like 40, 50 of those as well.
It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, and every time Jerry comes out, he's just impressive. So, yeah, I got him. I mean, it's hard to not pick Hermes as the favorite after you see the type of war he had with Levon. But, man, I'm behind Jerry Cataret. I'm behind Jerry. He's just time and time he's proved it. And although I didn't think against his last match with Georgie, it was a little bit I expected him to do a little better, but if anybody can lay the hammer, it's Jerry. I mean, that the way he pulls is very special, and his training obviously works well. So if he's out there saying he's healthy and stronger than ever, then Hermes, watch out.
Then right after that video went out, Pradeep, all of a sudden Levon puts out a video of lightweight, in quotes, of him doing some curls. And, he has up there 187 pounds, him doing, I think it was 12 reps of that. Now, my only problem with that was I just felt like they were like quarter reps. I felt like he wasn't even getting on the bicep. I mean, I know that's tremendous weight and all, but I don't even feel like it was a full out curl. I feel like Jerry had a lot more range of motion. So I would kind of like to see Levon do more of a range of motion on that lift. What was your thoughts, Pradeep, when you seen Levon's lift? Did you feel the same, that it was like quarter reps?
Levon's exercise where he lifted for like 10-12 reps, as you mentioned, I think it was on a pre-chair bench, and that may be more difficult than what Jerry did on a table. I'm just assuming, but I would like to think that doing it on a pre-chair curl, even like that much motion, may be difficult than doing when your elbow is on a flat bench. Am I right with this, guys?
But in my observation is he didn't open it up at all.
I think we're just analyzing minor things on lifts. They're both super strong at the end of the day. I mean, they're both crazy strong, is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just when I seen the Levon lift, I felt like it was more of a hold. I feel like that's more tension on the front of your shoulder and all, rather than a bicep. If he would have even went like halfway down, then I would consider that a curl. That's just my observation. Maybe with my bodybuilding background, and maybe a little bias with it as far as that. But I would just like to see more range of motion. But it definitely got Jerry stirred up, and I sent him the video, and he felt the same way. So now he's on the hunt looking for a 187-pound dumbbell, or something that he could get that weight together to show everybody he could do the same thing with the same kind of range of motion. So what I'm leading up there from that is, I know he's got this big match coming up against Hermes in July at East vs. West 8, and everybody's super excited about that. But Ryan Bowen actually brought this up on his channel. He was saying, I really excited about the match with Hermes, but even if Jerry doesn't get the win, I still want to see the match of Levon versus Jerry. Just because we've seen the style that Levon looked like he had some problems with Hermes going into that flop press and all. And, he feels like it would be a big dissatisfaction if Levon doesn't seal the deal and knock off Jerry as well, for his legacy and all. What's your whole thoughts on that? Would you guys still want to see that match if Jerry doesn't get the win against Hermes?
Or I would imagine he might potentially want to go against either Devin or Dave for the #1 in North America spot, because I imagine everyone's saying, it's either Devin or Dave. Jerry's like, oh, well, I'm here too. You know what I mean? So I think both of those could be good matches.
Nah, he wants #1, bro. He wants to go after Levon.
So that's
in
what
the
he
world.
wants more than that first.
Yeah, he's not really interested right as of right
Okay.
now. You know, maybe if things change, you know, I can't even bring that up to him because if I say anything other than he's not winning against Hermes, he doesn't want to even participate in the conversation. But yeah, what's your thoughts on that whole match, Adam? A possible Levon versus Jerry. Would you still want to see that if Jerry can knock off Hermes?
Um, yeah, of course. I mean, I think a lot of people are dissecting the Levon and Hermes match and saying, well, Hermes gave him trouble in the flop. But at the end of the day, that's not what he did off the get-go. He stopped Levon with back pressure, right? And rise, and then he transitioned into a flopper's press. So I don't know if Hermes could have been the same way off the get-go. I don't know. It's also been a while since I've watched that match, but I don't think it's apples to apples. I don't think you can sit there and say that that Jerry could do the same thing. Maybe he does. And I mean, we have seen Jerry, we have seen him get knocked off center and still be able to hold and come back. So yeah, I definitely do want to see that match. But I don't think that you can watch the Hermes and Levon match and kind of compare that to Jerry. I think there's a lot of different smaller dynamics that make that very, very different and not comparable.
And that being one of them, back pressure. We all know that Hermes' back pressure is next level. So we just got a question, does Jerry have what it takes to open up Levon a little just so that he can get that shoulder behind it and go into that flop press? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. But I mean, then again, though, like I said, I mean, Jerry has been knocked off center. And I feel like WAL and maybe prior, and of course, I haven't really followed Jerry. I mean, I know he's an extremely large past, and, you know, I don't know what kind of matches he's had, but I feel like Jerry was always the type of guy where if he couldn't get get his shoulder on top of his arm off the start, then he was almost like a fish out of water. But there's been some matches East versus West where he has been kind of knocked off, still kind of maintained that lock, and then drove through it. So maybe he could still stop Levon and get his shoulder behind him, but is he going to be able to do it the same way Hermes did? Maybe not. I don't know.
I think I have a very short, simple, and accurate answer for this one. If Jerry should go up against Levon after this Hermes match. First of all, if he beats Hermes, then for sure Levon is next. If he loses to Hermes, I will look at one thing only. Did Hermes beat him with a transition to a press, or did he just simply top rolled him to the pad? If Hermes is simply able to top roll him and take him down to the pad, Levon is going to do that all day long without any problem. And if he gets that stop, and that stop needs to come at least a couple of inches above the pad, because I'm assuming Levon will be that much stronger than Hermes in the top roll position. If then Hermes couldn't finish and he has to stand up and press, because Levon may not have that move. I've never really seen a 180 plus kg guy from this position where he's under the table having the ability to stand up and press. Like, they couldn't do that. Georgy Swetkov couldn't stand up and press. He weighs probably 170. Levon against Hermes couldn't just stand up and press. So if Hermes needs that press to finish, and then I think Levon may also be in trouble, because Hermes can do that and Levon cannot.
Good point.
I agree. And guys, I want you guys to get over to Jerry Cataract's page, his channel. Definitely click that subscribe button. There's a lot more to come. You're going to like tomorrow's video that's coming out. It's going to show some of his training that he does actually for the press. Definitely check this shit out. You're all going to be like, wow, next level. So definitely get over to Jerry's page and check that out. So moving on, I want to start every week. I want to start this game. I came up with a game for us. And we're going to do East versus West trivia. So I've been doing my homework, and I've been making up all the flashcards of everybody's matches, and I just came up with some good questions for everybody. I kind of wanted to get Josh from Grip and Rip in here, but it doesn't look like he's going to be making it tonight. So we're going to just do it us right here. But before we get started, we have a super chat in there from Insane Fame. Not sure what money that is 55 something. Yo, Paulie, I like those shades. Who makes them? Oh, thank you very much for the super chat. And it's Louis Vuitton. Everything I wear is mostly Louis Vuitton. All right. So guys, the first question that I want to start off with for the East versus West trivia is I want to find out who has pulled more in East versus West, Artem Morozov or Zurab?
I'm gonna say
Morozov.
Okay, I'll give the answer at the end.
Zurab.
Tom.
I said Zurab.
Okay, and Adam.
Zurab.
Zurab. So Zurab is right, guys. Zurab has 9 matches in East versus West, which
Morozov
is
has 8.
8 matches for
Yeah.
Morozov, which is pretty crazy.
That's
The
consistency.
one thing I want to say also is Morozov, every East versus West that he was in, he pulled 2 super matches, both hands. And, Zurab did that quite a few times as well. Okay, so who has won all their King of the Table matches, but lost all their East versus West matches?
Chafee.
And Pradeep, you on top of shit. Adam.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing. Chafee.
All right, Tom.
Well, I mean, I gotta say Chafee now.
Yeah, and you're all correct on that. So, Pradeep, we're gonna have you go last for the next one, just because you're pretty
Let
much
us
on
mess
this.
up first. Pradeep can get all of them right.
All right, so there are 6 people who have competed in multiple matches at East versus West and never lost. Who are they?
Oh man.
Let's put Adam on the spot since he's our special guest
Oh,
tonight.
man.
You said there's 6 people that have competed at East versus West and never lost.
Yes, in multiple matches on East versus West.
All right. Well, David Samushia, number 1. Ongar Baev's got to be number 2. No, wait. Did what? Yeah, David.
Paulin beat Samoshi.
Oh yeah. All right.
So we knock off David. He's not in there.
But Ongar Baev for sure, right?
That's one. That's correct. We
Who's
were just talking about somebody too.
Yeah, who's Morozov lost to?
Prudnik.
Sasha. Has Sasha lost?
Prudnik beat Morozov.
Okay.
Sasha doesn't have multiple matches.
Just one. Yeah.
I mean, off the top of my head, Ongar Baev, I'm trying to think of lighter guys. I mean, Propopchik, but he lost to Samushia.
Yep, he's no good. We were just, like I said, we were just talking about somebody in their training videos that is undefeated.
Gary.
Yep, that's 2.
Gary.
I'm gonna give you a hint. One of the guys is from New Jersey.
Oh man,
he lives in New Jersey right now. He's not from New Jersey. Come on, that should give it.
Is it Barboza?
Yes, boom, Tom, you got that. So that's number 3. All right, I'm gonna give you another. He just beat somebody that was 100 pounds more than him.
Muratov, Alazan
Muratov. That's number 4. So we got 2 more guys. One of them is very good friends with Coach Ray. And probably calls him Coach Ray.
Sandris.
Boom. Sandris.
Yeah.
Okay, and we got one last guy. It starts with a G. His first name.
I'm gonna say Georgi Zaranov.
Yes, correct.
Yeah, it's got it.
So let me just go over one more time. So the 6 guys that have competed in multiple matches and have never lost are Sandra Sadis, Marcio Barboza, Ongar Baev, Jerry Cataret, Georgie, and Alazan Muratov. All right. Is there anyone that has competed in all the East versus West?
I don't think so.
Pradeep?
No, East versus Zurab is the most prolific competitor there, but East versus West one, Zurab wasn't there.
Correct. And so the answer to that is no. And Zurab is the closest, where he was in 6 of them, which that is impressive in itself. Who has the most matches left hand in East versus West? This one's a little tricky.
It has to be Morozov, I think.
Nope.
Left hand.
Nope. I'm gonna give you a little hint because this one's a little harder. They come from Turkey.
Yeah.
Like
FA
Arif
Komek.
Ertem
FA
or
Komek. FA Komek.
Boom. Perfect. F.A. Komek. That is it. Okay. Now we have what country has the most wins in East versus West?
Georgia, gotta be.
yeah, I would say Georgia.
Yes, you guys are correct with that. And right after Georgia, we have United States. And then I believe right after that, we have Kazakhstan. Don't quote me on the third one. I got to make sure, but I know it goes Georgia and United States. Okay, here's one. I'm thinking Adam is going to really get this one. Who's the youngest arm wrestler and the oldest in East versus West to compete?
It's gotta be Bacho for the youngest. Oldest. I mean, who were in the legends?
Either Cobra Rhodes or that guy he faced. You remember that match?
It's not them.
Ron Bath?
Boom.
Ron
Bath.
Bath?
Ron
Okay.
Bath.
That was a good one. And Pradeep, what's going on over there, bro? You sleeping over there? I thought you would have had that one. Here's an easy one. I think you guys are gonna get this one. Who's the heaviest in the East versus West? Heaviest arm wrestler in East versus West.
Is it Georgie Spekov?
Yeah. Svetkov has to be.
Corey
Come
West.
on, man.
Corey West.
Boom. Corey West, baby.
Corey.
Yeah, man. Corey's 440, and it was Georgie. He was like 380, right?
Something like that.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the undefeated guys that you were talking about, Hermes Gasparini, yeah, he has lost left, not right.
yeah, he lost to
You're
Artem
talking about
Warzov.
both matches. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Who is the tallest competitor in East versus West?
Vitali, 6'8", as they say.
And it's a tie. So we got two guys who are
Ali and
Derek Smith, you might be saying, but I think Derek has himself said that he's smaller than Vitali.
okay.
Yeah.
So on paper, they both. That's what I believed. Before that, I was saying it was Vitali, but when I look on paper, they both listed at 6'8". But you are correct, Pradeep. I do remember Derek saying that on one of his feeds that Vitali was a little taller than him. What woman has the most matches in East versus West?
Vasconcelos.
Gabby?
Correct, Gabby. What women?
I wouldn't think so. Gabby has what, 2 matches? Or
Three.
3?
Three matches.
3. Okay, 3. Yeah.
What women?
Right.
What woman has the most wins in East versus West? So there's 2 of them on this one.
Backman and Gabby, 2.
Wow,
2 each.
very good, Pradeep. That was a good one. What's the name? This is going to be a tricky one, but I'm assuming Adam should know this one. What is the name of the host hotel to East
The
versus
Green
West?
Park Hotel.
Green Park, yeah.
Perfect. And if you guys didn't know that one, it's always on the commercials and all that. Really cool hotel. All right, we have 2 more questions, guys. Which East versus West had the least matches, and what had the most matches?
First one has to be with the one least matches, yeah.
Correct.
First one.
And that was 11 of those.
I think
And
the
then,
fifth one probably had the most.
Sixth one, 16 matches. East versus West, 6.
Okay, so there's actually 3 answers for that, and you are correct with that, with the 6. But it's number 2, 4, and 6 all had 16 matches.
16 matches.
And the last one that we just did was East versus West 7, and they had 12. Correct?
12.
Yeah. Okay. Who pulled both arms in East versus West the most times? And I think we actually answered that earlier. So who pulled with both arms in East versus West the most times? And I kind of gave this away at the beginning.
I didn't get the question, like how do I answer that? So
if you which guy pulled both right and left in the most events?
Morozov? Is it Morozov?
Okay.
Yes,
That-
Tom,
yeah, Morozov has to be.
you were correct with that, and that was
So most events you're talking about.
yeah. So Morozov pulled in 4 events, and all 4 of them he pulled right and left with 8 matches total. So that is the conclusion of our East versus West trivia game. I'm gonna do this every week. Keep you guys on your toes with that, and come up with some good questions. And I encourage you guys too, Tom and Pradeep, if you want to add some your own East versus West, or if you want to throw in some maybe king of the table trivia, always cool with that.
Definitely. We got Corey West versus Morozov coming up. Speaking of Morozov, on the left arm there for the #1 spot.
Ooh, what's your thoughts on that, man?
I think Morozov, heavy favorite, especially from the polls I put out too.
Okay. I gotta say, bro, Corey is our best hope in North America with that left, bro. And I believe Corey is underrated with the left. I think he has what it takes to surprise the world and beat Morozov. I hope he does, but I do expect a war on that one. Adam, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think Corey has what it takes. Morozov, another young guy. I mean, how old is he? Like 24?
25.
Something like that, yeah.
Did 25? I mean, so I just saw him at, East versus West 7. He looks like a tank. I think Corey has what it takes. I hope Corey doesn't gas. I hope he doesn't gas. I think
6 rounds.
Yeah, that's a lot of rounds, 6 rounds.
And that plays into Morozov's favor for sure. We saw him come back against Chafee, come back against
David Dadikin. Remember when he went against
David? So many matches where he won on endurance.
Yeah. Pradeep, what's your thoughts on that match, bro?
I think everyone, when they talk about this match, they have to look at Cody Merritt against both of them. And Morozov kind of struggled in the center like for maybe 7-8 seconds, and then he was finally able to top roll Cody Merritt. After that, it was kind of easy. But Corey never struggled against Cody Merritt. He just straight away blasted through him 3 times. So from that match, like if we compare the horsepower, maybe... No, I wouldn't say maybe. If we talk about side pressure, I think Corey for sure has more side pressure than Morozov. And my thing is that Morozov, although I'm still going to pick him in this match, I don't think he's as unbeatable as people are thinking that he's on the left arm. If we go back to the David Dadikian match, King of the Table, if that match was at East versus West, we would still be talking about how untouchable David Dadikian and how levels above Morozov he is. That was just the format game. In first 3 rounds, he like curled him in, eased him down to the pad, curled him in, then did a can opener on him, top roll, hook, top roll. He did everything. So that was like almost a mismatch for the first 3 rounds. Then he got exhausted and lost. So if we go to the Hermes Gasparini versus Morozov match, Hermes was saying that his left is probably 30% weaker than his right. And still he almost top rolled Morozov in the first round. Of course, he couldn't finish, but he was in this slightly dominant position. And I also think that Corey is strong enough to get a pin maybe on Morozov. He'll for sure take him to the side. But that constant up pressure that Morozov will be applying, and on the left arm, Corey is like he's willing to give up everything to keep his pronation. Like he's willing to give up his wrist just to go sideways. And that style, when you combine it against a big up pressure guy, I think Morozov will take his wrist at some point of time and he'll beat him from there. So maybe 5-1, maybe 6-0.
Okay, how about Coach Ray versus Engin Terzi?
You got Engin as the favorite in that one. World champion, legend.
My question is, if Engin is really strong, like if they are not on the same level, does he make it look close for the pay-per-view, or just he smashes them to the pad 6 times?
He's gonna smash him to the pad, bro. I'll bet anything on that one.
Yeah, way too much.
I think he's gonna want to show his dominance and how his power is and all, and I really think he's gonna really let the world show, because I believe a lot of the new arm wrestlers out there don't understand what legend arm wrestler Engin was. They put him as like the top promoter and everybody just, looks at him like that. And I bet you that messes with Engin, because Engin wants everybody to know what kind of arm wrestler he is. So I think by setting this match with Coach Ray, he's going to really put a show on and show how next level he is. But who would you like to see him go against after the Coach Ray match? If he gets the Coach Ray match, would you want to see him possibly go against maybe Giannis?
Adam?
Well, who was that?
Adam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that could be a yeah.
I mean,
What would you think of that, Adam?
Engen was one of those guys that was, before my time, but everybody talks about him, and I've definitely seen some matches of him. And again, when somebody comes back from taking time off and not having trained, it's like, where are they? So, we'll see how much of the original Engen he is, and I hope he comes back full force. And sure, I'm not one of those guys that's picky. You throw me somebody and I'll make him my Everest and I'll chase him. So that'd be interesting. That'd be fun. That'd be really fun. Engen's one of those guys that's just like super, super passionate. And I feel like he brings a lot of energy to the table and just in the match. So, yeah,
What a lot of people what a lot of people don't know about Engen is Engen is paid from his government as the top professor of arm wrestling in his country. So every day Engen is in his school and he's training his students. So I would find it really hard to believe that Engen is like stopped training completely. I believe he still was staying in shape and all. I have no idea if this is true, but I just find it hard to believe that he's training everybody in the school every day and he's not picking up a weight or doing anything. And we all know Engen with the passion and how obsessed he is with arm wrestling. So, I just feel like this man is just, he's going to be in peak shape when he comes out, and he's going to be on the next level like he always is.
And we got Dave and Devin as well on that same card. I think it suits Devin's favor considering it's 6-round super match. So I definitely see Devin cracking Dave's wrist back at some point and winning the match. That's how I think it'll go.
Yeah, I'm not so sure about this one, man. I don't know if Devin's going to have what it takes to hold off Dave's power right away. That's just my question.
Well, he might lose a round or two, but I think eventually Dave's wrist is going to go back. I think that's inevitable in my opinion.
Yeah, I do agree, especially that we're doing 6 rounds at King of Table. Maybe East versus West, they might had a better shot. But you got to imagine with Dave's endurance problems as of recently, that could be a problem with the 6 rounds.
But we saw Dave's
Dave,
press
when
against Vitali, so potentially it may not be over if Dave gets in a position. Who knows?
the reason, Paul, that Dave has won both matches, East versus West, and lost at both matches at King of the Table and lost at East versus West, most of the reason for that is Dave doesn't have endurance problems when he's going up against a top roller. It's when some guys switch from a top roll to a hook, that's when he kind of gets tired. So his matches at King of the Table were both against top rollers, and he beat both of them. And even at East versus West, as long as Morozov and Gennady were trying to top roll, he was kind of okay with that. And Hermes Gasparini and Rivas was also like really dominant. They were top rollers, but they also needed the press to finish him. And it didn't seem to me that Dave had any endurance problem against Hermes, because even in round third, Dave took him like an inch from the pad. So clearly there was no endurance problems there, only horsepower problem. So Dave loses his endurance only when he goes up against someone who can hook him. Top roll versus top roll, he has that endurance all day long. He beat Vitali in like one of the longest matches in arm wrestling. 50-60 minutes
I don't
was.
see him having more endurance than Devin, though.
But does he need to have that? Does he need?
Yes, because as long as Devin's strength level is enough to get him slowed down or stopped in the first match, second match, by the time third match, or even the fourth match, considering it's 6-round format. So even if he's down 3-0, which I think it might only be 1 or 2, even if he's down 3-0 at the point where Dave's wrist cracks back and then 4 matches in a row to Devin, then he wins the match. So I just see Devin having too much endurance, and whether he stops him round 1, 2, 3, or 4, we'll see.
I'm going to go with 4-2, Devin.
Yeah, I may also go with Devon, because right now I think Dave is losing horsepower, and Devon may even be able to match him inside a hook. Of course, different styles, but like Devon beats Gennady in a hook, Gennady beats Dave in a hook. So kind of getting strange there. I think Devon may in fact be strong enough to like straight away go in a hook. I'm not sure if he can force Dave Chaffee in a hook or not, but if the match goes in a hook, I think Devon has the power now, unlike previously. Now he has the power to deal with Chaffee in a hook. But Dave's top roll outside move, I'm not sure if Devon can hook that. So that will be something worth to notice there.
I think he'll have to go outside in the starting rounds, and then by the time Dave gets more tired, he'll be able to slow him down in a hook and completely control the match.
Yeah.
So I'd say 5-1 to Devon, I think.
Adam, what do you have this score to be?
Well, yeah, I would kind of go. I was leaning towards a 5-1 score, but considering the past East versus West, where Devon was losing to, a press, a flop wrist press. I mean, we've kind of seen Dave do that a little bit, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, if Dave can pull smart, I see a way that he can win this match. I do. I mean, if he can take what's given to him, and two, I mean, how much advantage is going to be gained in the setup, and how manipulative are the athletes going to be able to be with the referee? We all know how nice and calm of a guy Dave is, and he just wants the match to be fair. And we know that Devon's seeking out advantages. So how bad is it going to be come ready, go? And how's that going to affect the positioning in the match? I think if Dave's smart and he holds his ground, I think it could be really close. But I mean, my gut has to go with Devon just because having 6 rounds. Devon will find a way to exhaust him. And we've seen Dave get exhausted, but then we've also seen Devon lose to a press, which we know Dave is capable of doing. And so it could be really interesting.
Yeah, and a couple of things that we need to take a look at for sure. The last time they faced 2019, 7x9 elbow pads. Huge difference. It benefits the Kings movers. Devon was like 2 inches back of the pad and he was staying there. Second thing, the rule was already there in existence, but it wasn't followed. The shoulder dipping below the table in neutral or losing position. Devon was in that losing position and shoulder was below for almost the entire match. Hopefully this is not going to happen this time. So if we combine these two shorter elbow pads and cannot dip below the table, I think Devon may have to stand up and arm wrestle Dave instead of going below the table, because if he goes below the table, he can only be parallel and Dave has a flop press. I think Dave can easily press him down to the pad. So maybe I think we are going to see Devon arm wrestle.
Yeah, we've seen Devon arm wrestle a lot more fundamentally recently. For example, like against Gennady, like we didn't barely see him in this position. He was trying to counter with the shoulder and block Gennady's shoulder.
Devon doesn't have, like I've been saying this for like 3-4 years now, and people didn't used to believe me. I said if a good flop presser, the day I saw Devon struggle against Matt Mask's flop press in 2018, it was, I think, that day I said Devon does not have. I don't know how, I don't care how much you're going to improve. If Matt Mask can one day press you down to the pad despite a huge elbow foul with a flop press, you're never going to overcome that weakness. Yeah, and that's why I was saying if Devon goes in a King's move, that was my prediction. Gennady is going to just look at him in a flop press and ease him down to the pad. Devon cannot deal with that level of flop press. That's why he didn't even think about it. Even though when he knew that he can lose this match, he didn't even think about going in a flop press, because when that shoulder is coming, Devon does not have anything for that. Like, why didn't he go in a King's move against Jerry? Michael can hold Jerry there in a King's move, and John Brzezinski was able to hold Jerry there, so it isn't impossible. But Devon didn't even for once think about going in that position, because he knows it's his weakness.
Well, the thing is, if you over pronate, you lose the ability to get on the other person's arm. So if you can pronate a little bit less to where you're more inside, like when Brzezinski went against Jerry, for example, as opposed to just way outside, a little bit more inside, if that makes sense, to where you're kind of blocking their inside power.
Maybe.
Would you guys want to see the winner of that go against Jerry Catterick?
Yeah, for sure. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
personally have a different opinion than many people on this one. I think Jerry destroys Dave right now. He doesn't seem to have that inside option, and he top rolling. He has a good top roll. He can for sure beat Jerry with that top roll. But in this overpronated position, I don't think maybe he can stand up and press without pressing. It will be difficult for him, and I think Jerry got this against Dave. Devon versus Jerry. Devon should be the favorite there. I never talk about any like DMs anywhere publicly, but this one is funny from Jerry, so I'll mention it here. Yesterday I created a poll like who wins between Dave and Jerry, and keep in mind that people have always been saying that Dave is going to beat Jerry just like he has in the past, and this time, surprisingly, 64% people out of nearly 3,000 votes voted for Jerry in this one. 64% people think that Jerry is going to win. So I sent Jerry the screenshot, and when he said in the first two words were he's surprised, and I was like, okay, he's surprised that first time in the history people are picking Jerry over Dave. And then he writes, I'm surprised that many people picked Dave over me. 30, 36% people are like,
That is so Jerry right there.
yeah. So Dave loses to Jerry, and Jerry versus Devon can be close. Close. Maybe Devon beats Jerry. I don't know.
Yeah, I hope we finally get to see that eventually. You know, I'd love to iron out the North America rankings and actually know where everybody sits rather than just talk about it for the last 5 years. What if, what if, what if? Definitely know they need to be worked out. But I want to call it a night, guys. It's 11 p.m. on the eastern side, and I want to keep this not too long. So first off, I want to thank you, Adam, for coming on as our special guest tonight. It was a pleasure to have you, brother. And you always have an open invitation. Anytime you want to come on, you're always welcome to come on.
Appreciate you having me. Thanks for giving me the time to discuss thoughts, and it was fun. Thank you.
Do you have any social media platforms you want to shout out? Anything, any YouTube channels for people to follow?
Nah, just I'm on Facebook, but no, I kind of stay off of it.
All right. And if you guys haven't already, get over to Arm Wrestling News. Pradeep's the man when it comes to Arm Wrestling News. Make sure to subscribe to his channel. And we got Tom, the arm wrestler, who puts out a lot of feedback videos, does a lot of training videos, has been in the sport 3 years, is doing very well with his arm wrestling. So definitely get over to his channel, check that out, click that subscribe button. And Josh from Grip and Rip, I know he didn't make it on tonight, but another great channel to follow. Make sure you get over there, Grip and Rip Arm Wrestling. Click that subscribe button. And if you guys haven't already, please hit that thumbs up button if you like tonight's show. We'll be back on next week. And if you haven't already, make sure to click that subscribe button. Have a great night, everybody. Pleasure having you all on.
All right, later, guys.
Appreciate it.